As COVID-19 infections continue to rise across the world, everyone wonders when will we have a vaccine against coronavirus. So some candidates have generated a lot of hopes. To discuss all those candidates, which are the promising candidates and what are their flaws and pro and cons, we have today with us Dr. Abel Lawrence. He is the professor of clinical immunology at Sanjay Gandhi Postgraduate Institute of Medical Sciences, Lucknow. Welcome to the show, Dr. Abel Lawrence.
Thank you for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to talk to the audience.
So, Dr. Lawrence, first, I would like to, have a slideshow to give a brief, about the candidates. Let's have a look at the vaccines against COVID-19. So, if we look at the clinical trial list of WHO, it has 29 prominent vaccine candidates under different phases of clinical trials. 6 of them are in the final or phase 3 stages. 3 of them are from China only. So let's try to understand why do we need 3 phases of trial to finalize a vaccine. So phase 1 trial is basically a safety check to evaluate the general side effects of the candidate. In phase 2 trial is to test efficacy, T cell response, antibody response, and the rare side effects of the vaccine candidate. And if everything goes well, then the candidate goes for the phase 3 trial, which is basically to test the efficacy in long-term T cell response and antibody response in the long term and rare side effects. If the vaccine passes all 3 phases of the testing, then it goes for the mass vaccination. So now the question is how many volunteers and time is required in each phase. First, phase 1 and number of volunteers, both are not defined. Usually around 100 people are taken and the study goes on for 1 to 2 months. In the phase 2 trial, number of volunteers and time, both are not defined. Usually it takes around 3 to 6 months with about 1,000 volunteers. In phase 3, again, no time or number of volunteers defined. Usually many thousands volunteers are required, 30,000, 40,000 people are required, and the study takes 6 to 12 months or even more. So let's have a look at the Russian vaccine that is called Sputnik V. Russia has touted it as the world's first COVID-19 vaccine. However, Russia has not completed all the 3 steps of the trial. As per media reports, the study of their phase 1 trial has been published and their phase 2 trials completed, but the study is not published and they had not gone into phase 3 of the trial, but still gone ahead to register the vaccine and might be going for mass vaccination in the month of October. Now we have Oxford vaccine. They were the first to start now in the phase 3 of the clinical trials. Then we have 3 vaccines from China. One is called Sinovac. The second is the vaccine from Wuhan Institute, from where the virus generated. And the third is one from Beijing Institute. All the 3 vaccines are in the phase 3 of the trial. And then we have our own vaccine that is called India's first indigenous vaccine. Government was apparently planning to launch it on 15th of August, which created a lot of fight across the country, but later they abandoned the plan. The candidate is currently under the phase 1 and phase 2 of the clinical trial. As per clinical trial registry, their trials are likely to complete in 15 months. So we will try to understand with Dr. Abel Lawrence which vaccine is going to come first in the market and which vaccine is likely to be successful.
The biggest impediment to getting a safe vaccine to the public is how fast we can complete a clinical trial. And to do large scale studies, you need to manufacture the vaccine in sufficient numbers for the trials. And then once that is over, you have to manufacture them for sale also. So this Oxford vaccine had been preparing for a pandemic for nearly a decade. So they had already made plans for manufacturing a vaccine in case a coronavirus pandemic strikes. So they already, so because of their prior homework before the starting of the epidemic, they had a head start. They had a vaccine which was already shown phase 1 data in humans for other coronavirus like Middle Eastern respiratory syndrome virus and the original SARS, etc. So they had a head start. So they were able to, even though the Oxford vaccine was a traditional kind of vaccine, where they have a viral vector, adenoviral vector, in which the protein, the spike protein from the coronavirus is inserted, which normally would take time, but they had a head start. Since they were prepared for a trial earlier, they could start trials, and already they have already finished recruitment of phase 3 trial in UK. And phase 3 trials are undergoing in other countries, including the US and Brazil. So because of this, we expect, by next month, the trial will be over. But when the trials data is sufficient is a different question. That is, when in a phase 3 trial, we are looking at several things. One, obviously, by phase 2, we know whether the vaccine can produce antibodies, whether the vaccine can produce T cell response. But what we are looking for in a phase 3 trial is whether the vaccine prevents real coronavirus infections. So this depends on the rate at which the new infections happen in the study population. Generally, how many happens in the control population which haven't received the vaccine or received a control vaccine. And then you have to that sets the baseline for the rate of infections. And then you compare that number to the number of infections in people who have received the vaccine. If the vaccine is effective, you need to have significant reduction in the number of infection in the vaccinated group. So this is not set by the sample size of the trial. This is set by the infection rate in the community setting in which the vaccine is being tried. So depending on when if you do the trial at the peak of the epidemic, then you can have a smaller number of people. Whereas if the number of infection in the community is waned, then you need really large number of subjects. Also, the sample size also will be determined by how much time you have to follow up. If you can follow these subjects for a year or two, you can do it fewer number of people, because the number of cases depends on the infection number of rates in the community and the time followed. So this is the reason why, since the Oxford vaccine is already being manufactured by Serum Institute of India and exported to other countries for the trials, they had a head start, and so they will finish the trial first.
Then, so that means the vaccine which could come in the market, it could be Oxford vaccine, basically.
It could be Oxford vaccine. Then the other the phase 3 trials, the Chinese have multiple vaccines. They have adenoviral vector vaccine, they have DNA vaccine. So they have had their bets, and they had a head start in the sense they were the first one to have the disease, and they had the first genome of the virus. So they started working on it first. And they have also copied the strategies adopted by others. So they have vaccines which mimic the strategy of the Oxford vaccine. They have vaccines which mimic every kind of a thing. And so there also, if you see, Chinese also are vaccinating their healthcare workers and some of the defense personnel in July. How they are doing it is they are basically done away with the requirement of phase 3 trials and have given the vaccine to these high risk categories. So what Russia has done is, Russian vaccine is by no means the first vaccine. They were actually late, but they have basically done away with the phase 2 and the phase 3 requirements and taken a shortcut. So this is a risky thing. So basically, you cannot, it's unfair to claim you are the first by taking shortcut. And it's like you say that I have finished my college first. We don't go to final year and you don't write the exam and you are declared pass. That doesn't qualify as a pass. So such claims are baseless. On the other hand, if you look at the other interesting content is like the nucleic acid vaccines, especially the RNA-based vaccines, they were the dark horse at the beginning. There were no real examples of such vaccines in use. There were no large-scale studies on their safety, their efficacy. A lot of things were unknown. But this opportunity provided by this COVID pandemic has allowed these vaccines to be tested in large scales, and the early results up to the phase 2 trials are promising. And although they are still recruiting in people, and so they will take time. Probably, I don't think any of them will come before the end of the year and next year. But in future pandemics, these strategies of RNA vaccines and the DNA vaccines offer us to develop entirely new vaccines without any prior preparation rapidly. So those are so these will probably, it will not affect this pandemic that much. However, once vaccines are approved, we need to have the capability to vaccinate whole global population fast. So all vaccines have a role. So neither Oxford vaccine or the Pfizer RNA vaccine or the Moderna RNA vaccine, none of them will be themselves be able to supply vaccine to everybody. So there is a role for everyone. And if you look at the, if you, before the results come, if you ask me what is my prediction, I believe that with having seen the details, the RNA vaccines would be a success. Oxford vaccines in expected to do well. You can say there is a slight risk with Oxford vaccine is good promise from the baseline thing. One of the problems that Oxford vaccine can encounter is that if the subjects have had adenoviral infections in the past, then the antibodies and immunity against those viruses can diminish your immune response to the vaccine itself. So this may reduce the efficacy by a few percent. But the adenovirus used is actually chimpanzee virus, adenovirus. So maybe we don't know. So for example, in India, we don't know what are the common adenoviruses which are circulating among us. So this is the reason why vaccines like Oxford vaccine has to be tried in every country. So before you market in India, you need to know how many people have pre-existing antibody to adenovirus. Does it produce antibodies among Indians? So these are, that is why, so the problem in Indian situation is that the vaccine trial hasn't started yet. So the delay in conducting the trials of Oxford vaccine in India will delay the potential rollout of the vaccine in India, even though the vaccine is being manufactured for several months in this country.
As you mentioned that if someone already had adenovirus infection, then the vaccine may not be as effective as in other people. So can you please mention about those disease or adenovirus infections which
no, adenoviruses cause, it's a kind of cold. There are many viruses which causes cold. The commonest are rhinoviruses. That basic rhinoviruses are enteric viruses which infect the respiratory tract. Even some of the coronavirus in old human coronavirus cold in some individuals. It can also cause severe disease in other individuals. But now we don't really know the value. If you ask me, my guess is that this cold may be in people who are already immune. Suppose you had a coronavirus infection in childhood and then you get an infection later on, it may become a cold. So that's a guess. We still don't have data to support that. So then there are, so among those viruses, adenoviruses are also causes of cold-like illness.
Okay. And what about Covaxin, which is being produced by Bharat Biotech, Hyderabad? Because we have heard a lot about it. It is India's, indigenous vaccine, which the government was apparently planning to launch on 15th August. But they decided to, to wait for some time.
If you look at what is Covaxin? Basically, Covaxin is a very, very old strategy. One of the oldest strategies. The oldest strategy for a vaccine is basically take the virus, you inactivate the virus and inject and hope that it produces an immune response. The problem with this strategy is that we don't have control over the kind of immune response it produces. And therefore, immune response may or may not be optimal. If their purpose is simply to produce antibodies, because if you simply inject a killed antigen or a subunit antigen, a protein antigen, then the immune response is predominantly antibody response, and we don't have control over the kind of T cell immune response that comes. And so if this was a strategy, this could have been done in February, March also. I mean, there was nothing that is, once you have the virus culture, you could inactivate. And so why now? Why haven't other countries? The real question to ask is, China had virus with earliest, then the whole world which had this virus, why didn't anybody do killed vaccine anywhere? We are not hearing about any successful killed vaccine anywhere. There is a reason for this. This is not that they didn't know how to do that. The reason no one has tried a killed vaccine in this coronavirus is that previous attempts to create such vaccines for original SARS, the first SARS, which is closely related to this virus, have been a failure. In fact, such vaccines have induced abnormal or maladaptive immune responses. Immune response which led to allergic reactions to the virus when people subsequently got infected. In animals, these are not human studies, so we don't know how people will respond. So there is an uncertainty of vaccine-induced adverse events with such vaccines. So basically, if you look at coronavirus infections also, the outcome, the kind of result people have depends on the kind of immune response we have. If you have an effective immune response, T cell and antibody response, which can clear the virus without causing harm, that is a good immune response. Whereas, so there are types of immune response which produce antibodies but are not good at clearing the viruses, like Th2 immune response. Th2 response are also responsive for allergies. So they may be harmful. In fact, people with such responses do worse in COVID pandemic. So there is a possibility that vaccines such as Covaxin may actually worsen your outcome. So so if you ask me any vaccine I should be more careful in trying, it is the vaccines like such vaccines. So rushing a vaccine which has potentially more harmful effect without doing proper clinical trial could be really unsafe. But on the other hand, if you can actually prove that it works and it doesn't cause problems, then all the way. So that means we cannot take shortcuts. We cannot avoid doing phase 3 trials, large phase 3 trials, because such adverse events after the real virus infection will be known only in the phase 3 trial. Phase 1 and phase 2 trials where you give to people and look at antibody response will not tell you whether people will have problems when they get the real virus. On the other hand, such responses are not expected in the case of the RNA DNA vaccines. And RNA DNA vaccines can provide immune response even when there is pre-existing antibodies. So, and since RNA DNA vaccines can actually produce potent T cell responses, that is expected. And so, if you really want to take shortcuts, that is the kind of vaccine you wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind. Suppose if you ask me to volunteer for a DNA RNA vaccine, I'm ready. But all of this, even when you are giving it, it should be under a trial circumstance, because even if I am ready to volunteer, what happens to me should be tracked so that before a general approval is made, we have the data. The problem with approval of vaccines without proper trial is that once it is out in the open, you won't know what is happening. So even if Russia had this strategy of approving a trial, they should not have done it. If they want to give expanded access to healthcare workers, do the trials in healthcare workers. Vaccines are therapeutic agents which will be given to millions of people. Therefore, shortcuts, suppose imagine there is a 0.1% of the vaccinees have an adverse event. Now imagine you give to 1 crore of people. 0.1% is a huge number. So shortcuts with vaccines can backfire seriously. So this, although I would say that the Russian strategy from a purely scientific point of the vaccine is actually sound. They are using 2 different adenovirus for the primary vaccine and the booster vaccine. So even if you have immune response to antibodies to one adenovirus, then the second one may escape. So the antibody to the first one will not block the antibody to sex. But this antibody blocking may be overblown, because in the Oxford vaccine, among subjects who got a second dose, it led to a boosted immune response.
So you basically mean to say that the vaccine which could come the earliest, it could be an Oxford vaccine, and which can come by the end
likely
of
an Oxford.
Which likely to be an Oxford.
Probably even in UK it may be as early as October. But we don't know. The thing we don't know is how many subjects what is the rate of new infection among groups.
Mhm.
So the response does not depend on the number of vaccinated people, but on the number of controls who get the coronavirus.
Mhm.
That is something we cannot guess from here. That is something which even the those who are conducting the trial cannot plan.
Mhm.
But and the data will be blinded. Until the trial is over. At least until the planned time when you want to see that, they wouldn't know who has received the vaccine and who hasn't received the vaccine. They can only see the total number of cases of the COVID among the whole group.
Mhm. So you might have heard that IIT Alumni Council, they have disbanded their COVID-19 vaccine team, saying that the vaccine could take years, because current approaches are not correct. Basically, they mean to say. So, what do you think? What do you think on their view?
They're absolutely right. This is something which I also was feeling from the beginning. Because if you look at the winners today, they didn't start making vaccine after the coronavirus came. Oxford group had been working on a coronavirus vaccine for nearly a decade.
Mm-hmm.
And even the Pasteur Institute, which has been working for many years, even had candidate vaccines against MERS. We are not hearing much about them. When they are themselves Pasteur Institute with the measles vaccine, is not quite behind schedule. And if you look at the RNA vaccines groups, Moderna, CureVac, and the BioNTech, which is associated with they have been working on their technology for years. They have a platform. They have a technology to you know to manufacture modified nucleotide RNAs, how to package them. So these are all technologies which are in place. Just like having a loaded gun, which everything is loaded, and when the target comes, you fire. So now what we are talking about is developing the technology. By the time the technology is developed, this pandemic will be over. So the time to what we need to do now is not develop vaccine against coronavirus, but develop vaccine platforms.